Chosen one, lock your attention on this message right now. That quiet ache in your chest, the one you've been trying to explain and can't, stop trying to push it down. The one who loves you spoke about you today. Not in passing, not casually. They stopped, they turned, and they said your name. And what they said, you cannot afford to miss it. It all shifts today. The wondering, the waiting, the silence that felt like abandonment. But hear this clearly. It is not ending because time ran out. It is ending because someone who holds authority over your future opened their mouth on your behalf today. And what came out of that mouth was a verdict. Think back to that moment this week when you almost convinced yourself you were forgotten, when you scrolled past your own life in a daze, wondering if anyone above could even see you anymore. You were sitting somewhere quiet, maybe at a table by yourself, maybe staring out a window, and the thought crept in, maybe I am doing this alone. You did not know it then, but in that exact moment of surrender, something was being said about you in a room you could not enter with your eyes. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. The Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment, written into the fabric of this day, before you ever drew your first breath. Stay until the very last second, because in the next few minutes, I am going to reveal exactly what was spoken over your life today. I am going to expose the specific lie the enemy planted to make sure you never heard it. And at the end, I am going to give you the declaration that agrees with what heaven already said. So the word spoken about you lands and takes root. Do not click away. Your future self is standing on the other side of this message, waiting for you to receive what was already released on your behalf today. My name is Zerekiel. I have spent years studying the hidden patterns of the spirit realm, the warfare, the divine appointments, the moments heaven speaks and earth is too distracted to hear. And I have walked over 10,000 chosen ones through their moment of receiving what was already theirs. If this is your first time here, subscribe and hit the notification bell right now. Not because I need the numbers, but because the next message I release might carry the exact word that was spoken about you in a season you are still walking into. Now listen. The last 72 hours have not been quiet. They have been loud in the worst kind of way. Loud with doubt, loud with overthinking, loud with the voice that tells you the silence from the people you love means you are not worth talking about. Maybe you found yourself going back through old conversations this week, reading the words of someone who matters to you, looking for evidence that they still think of you. Or maybe you stopped yourself from reaching out because you were terrified that if you did, the response would confirm your deepest fear, that you have faded from the minds of the ones whose love you need most. You feel invisible, not just to people, to heaven. And in that feeling, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie. Listen to your thoughts right now. He has been telling you that the reason no one has said your name is because your name is no longer worth saying. He has been replaying that moment, the one where you chose love over pride, the one where you gave when you had nothing left, the one where you showed up for someone who never showed up for you. And he has been calling that your undoing. He wants you to believe that your love was foolish, that your vulnerability was failure, that by opening your heart, you handed your story to someone who will never honor it. That is the lie. And today it gets exposed. Because here is what the scripture actually says about this moment. Malachi 3:16 says, "Then those who feared the Lord spoke to one another, and the Lord listened and heard them. So a book of remembrance was written before him for those who fear the Lord and who meditate on his name." Listen to that. A book of remembrance. Your name is not forgotten. It is written. And when the one who loves you spoke about you today, whether in prayer, whether in conversation, whether in the quiet of their own spirit, heaven was listening. And what was said was recorded. You are not invisible. You are documented. The heaviness you feel right now is not the weight of being overlooked. It is the weight of a word that has not yet landed. A word that was spoken over your life today and is now in transit, moving through the invisible toward the visible, looking for the moment you are still enough to receive it. You did not push love away. You kept it. You did not fail the people who matter. You outlasted the test, And the one who loves you, they did not forget you today. They said your name. And what they said was enough to change the direction of everything. What you just heard wasn't entertainment. It was confirmation. And if you're ready to go deeper, the Chosen One's mantle will show you exactly why God separated you before birth, why the attacks came so early, and what He's unlocking in this season. Code by code, until you're walking the life He already wrote over you. The link is waiting in the first pinned comment, but not for long. Now stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through is not theory. It is the anatomy of a divine moment, and you are standing inside one right now. The first thing you need to understand is that being documented by heaven is not the same as being delivered by heaven on your timeline. The book of remembrance that Malachi speaks of is not a waiting room. It is a war room. Your name written in that book means your case is active. It means heaven is not watching passively. It is moving intentionally. But there is something that has to happen inside you before what was spoken about you today can reach you in full. Because a word released from heaven still requires a landing place. And right now, the enemy has been doing everything in his power to make sure that landing place inside you is too cluttered with his noise to receive what God already sent. Think about the noise for a moment. Not the noise around you, the noise inside you, the rehearsed conversations, the imagined rejections, the mental replays of every moment someone walked away or went quiet or chose someone else when you needed them to choose you. That noise is not random. It is a tactical interference pattern, and it has one purpose: to occupy the frequency where your word was supposed to land. Because the enemy knows what you haven't fully grasped yet, that a chosen one who doesn't receive their word is just as delayed as a chosen one who never heard it. This is where it goes deeper. You have been calling your sensitivity a weakness. You have been apologizing for the depth of your love, for the way you feel things at a cellular level, for the way silence from someone you care about sends tremors through your whole inner world. You have been treating your emotional depth like a character flaw. But hear what heaven says about that depth. It is not the thing that makes you fragile. It is the thing that makes you a carrier. People who feel nothing carry nothing. And what God is about to move through you requires someone with the capacity to hold it without dropping it. And this leads us to something most people miss entirely. There is a difference between waiting in resignation and waiting in readiness. Most people, when they have been through what you have been through, slide from one to the other without ever noticing. They begin by trusting the process, believing in divine timing, holding the posture of expectation, and then slowly, one disappointment at a time, one unanswered prayer at a time, one quiet night at a time, they stop waiting on God and start simply surviving until something changes. They are still standing, but they stopped expecting. And standing without expectation is just endurance. Heaven is not calling you to endure. Heaven is calling you to receive. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share next is the part that breaks the cycle. The one who loves you spoke your name today. I want you to sit with the weight of that for a moment. Not the what they said, but the fact that they said it. Because in a world that has trained people to move on, to upgrade, to replace what doesn't immediately respond with something easier, the fact that your name was still in someone's mouth is a miracle in itself. There is a woman in the Gospel of Luke, a widow, who had lost everything that gave her value in the eyes of her world. She had no husband, no protector, no advocate. And yet she went before the judge, repeatedly. Not with power, not with influence, with nothing but persistence and the conviction that her case deserved a verdict. And the judge, who the scripture says neither feared God nor cared for people, eventually ruled in her favor. Not because he had a change of heart, but because she would not stop showing up. Now imagine what happens when the one ruling over your case does fear God. Imagine what happens when the judge of your situation is not indifferent, but intimately aware of every detail of your story. Your persistence was never wasted. Every time you chose love when logic said let go. Every time you prayed when you felt nothing back. Every time you got up and tried again when the evidence said stop. All of it was building a case. And today, that case received a word on its behalf. But here is where it goes deeper still. And this is the part you need to brace yourself to receive honestly. What was spoken over you today was not small, which means the resistance you are feeling right now is not small either. There is a principle in the spirit realm that most people are not taught until they are already deep in the middle of it, and it is this. The magnitude of the warfare around a word is proportional to the magnitude of the word itself. If what heaven said about you today was insignificant, the enemy would not have spent the last 72 hours flooding your mind with doubt. He would not have engineered the silence. He would not have crafted those specific fears, the ones that hit your exact vulnerabilities, the ones that know exactly where to press to make you feel the most invisible. The intensity of the attack is the evidence of the value of what's being protected. And what's being protected right now is your ability to receive what was already released. And what's coming next will likely surprise you. It always does. Because the real question is not whether the word was spoken. It was. The real question is not whether the one who loves you still carries you in their heart. They do. The real question, the one heaven is pressing you to answer right now, is whether you believe you are worth what was said. Not whether God is able, not whether love is real, but whether, deep in the place where you hold your own name, you believe that a word like the one that was spoken today could actually be meant for someone like you. This is the hidden root. This is the thing beneath the thing. You have been praying for breakthrough with one hand and quietly holding a verdict about yourself with the other. A verdict that says people like you get close, but not all the way. That someone always gets the best version of what you were hoping for, and you get the version that teaches you something. You have been half expecting disappointment, not because God hasn't shown up, but because somewhere underneath all of your faith there is a younger version of you that made an agreement that you are not the kind of person who receives the full thing. And until that agreement is broken, no word from heaven can fully land. Think of Gideon. He is standing in a winepress, hiding, and an angel appears and calls him a mighty warrior. And Gideon's first response is not gratitude. It is not faith. His first response is to argue with the title. My clan is the weakest. I am the least in my father's house. He did not resist the word because it was wrong. He resisted the word because he had already accepted a smaller story about himself. And the angel did not withdraw the title. The angel waited. Because heaven does not revoke what it has spoken just because you haven't caught up to it yet. But it does require you to stop arguing with the name you've been given. Your name was spoken today. Not the name the disappointments gave you. Not the name the rejections confirmed. The name that was written before the foundations of the earth were set in place. And the shift that happens today, the one this message was always building toward, is the moment you stop fighting that name and start walking under it. But let me challenge you with something, because this is the part no one wants to hear. You have been waiting for external confirmation to tell you it is safe to believe. You have been waiting for the person to reach out, waiting for the door to open in a way you can see, waiting for something in the visible to agree with what the Spirit has been saying. And I understand why. You have been hurt. You have stepped out in faith before and felt the ground disappear beneath you. You have spoken things out loud and watched nothing change, and it cost you. So now you wait for proof before you invest. You need the evidence before you extend yourself. And it feels like wisdom. But here is the confrontation. It is not wisdom. It is protected disappointment. You dressed the wound in discernment, so no one would know it was still bleeding. And God is not asking you to pretend the wound isn't there. He is asking you to stop letting the wound make your decisions. Here's the thing you probably didn't expect. The thing that has been blocking the full landing of what heaven released today is not the enemy. It is not the people who hurt you. It is not even the silence from the ones whose love you have been waiting on. It is your agreement with the idea that receiving fully is for people whose stories have gone differently than yours. That breakthrough belongs to those who have not yet carried what you have carried. That the word spoken over you today is probably beautiful, but probably partial, and that the full version is for someone else. That agreement has to die today. Not weaken, not loosen, die. Because what was spoken over you today was not partial. It was complete, and it was not spoken over a version of you that hasn't been through what you've been through. It was spoken over the exact version of you that survived every single thing that tried to take you out before this moment arrived. The one who loves you saw all of it. They saw the carrying. They saw the quiet. They saw the love you kept, even when it cost you. And what came out of their mouth when they said your name was not a wish, it was a verdict. And verdicts don't need your agreement to be true, but they do need your reception to be activated. So before you sleep tonight, place your hand on your chest, close your eyes, and declare this over yourself. Say it out loud if you can, because there is power in the spoken word, which is exactly how this whole thing started. I release the agreement that I am not the kind of person who receives the full thing. I release the verdict I made about myself in the seasons that were meant to shape me, not define me. I release the habit of waiting for external proof before I let myself believe. I receive what was spoken over my name today. I receive the love that held me even in the silence. I receive the word that has been in transit. And I declare that the landing place inside me is open, clear, and ready. I am not forgotten. I am documented. I am not invisible. I am seen by the one whose seeing is the only seeing that matters. I step forward today not because everything is resolved, but because the word has been spoken, and I am finally in agreement with it. I am chosen. I am carried. And what heaven said about me today is enough to change the direction of everything. If this message confirms something your spirit already knew, leave a comment below with the word received. Just that one word, so I know this reached you. Share this with someone who's been waiting in silence for too long. And if you are not yet subscribed, this is the moment. Because the next message I release is already carrying something you will need for the season you are walking into. And I do not want you to miss it.